Hey guys, Paleo Gamer here. So about quite a while back, I actually made two trade guide videos of like how to price your gear with poe.trade and how to search for gear, that like would have an open suffix or prefix for master crafting, stuff like that. And this is going to be like an update to kind of both of those videos, but really it's going to be mainly focusing on the tools that we have for Path of Exile that help with trading. And then some more up-to-date tools that I didn't have back when I made those videos. I think it was about a year ago, and this makes trading, really pricing, a lot easier, and trading, of course, as well, with the poe.trade helper. So let's get into it. So I have a couple things of gear here that I haven't priced specifically for this, some rings and jewels and stuff. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to kind of price it with you. The thing that I'm using that's like the most beneficial, it's called the poe.trade macro, and once you have this installed, you're able to go into the settings, and I'll leave a link in the description for the where to get it. And this kind of opens up the trade macro settings, and really the only thing you need to change, I felt, was just the mod range modifier. It's normally like 2020, which means that it's going to look for items that are 20% less and 20% above of the pricings. What I typically do is I just leave this at 1010 instead of 2020. Nothing real big there. And then also prefill max values. I don't really see this as useful, and I'll show you once we get into pricing this stuff why I don't want the prefill max values. And there's other things you can do. You can also see like all the different trade hotkeys, what they do. You can also see you can have the pre-select normal mods, which there's a button to click when you use the tool. So I don't really see this one being too useful. If anything, you'll probably uncheck more than you'll check. So I don't really see it as a time saver. But let's use it. So when you have it loaded, you have to load it as administrator, by the way. Make sure you do that, or else it'll give you some error. So say we want to do this one. That's just fizz, cast damage, and some res on a diamond ring. So you hit Control-Alt-D, and it brings you up this window. And essentially what it's telling you is like, what mods do you want to look for? And what I like to do is I like to include the item base, because you can still get crit from like from an essence of loathing, I believe. But you know, I think the diamond ring can roll above the crit that you would get from the essences. So I think this would be safe to use. Just include item base on everything, pretty much. You don't have to do it for like ES gear, but like I don't know, like jewelry and stuff like that. Maybe not for like 2 stone rings, but I don't know, iconic, ones like crystal belts and like a diamond ring has a crit, stuff like that. Kind of use your best judgment there. You don't really have to use this too often. It's not too big a deal. But then what you want to do is you want to look at the modifiers here and look at the ones that are important. This one has like pretty much all important things on it, so it's going to be pretty easy. So we'll go, you just check each box that you want to search for. Essentially what this is doing is it pulls up all the modifiers, the affixes that it has, and asks you which one you want to include in your search. So I'm going to click all of them, except for the resistances. What I like to do is, instead of looking for like targeted resistances, I typically do total elemental resistances. So I just click this one. And this is a search that you can get into when you're in Path of Exile, or poe.trade. But so you just open up on poe.trade. That'll open up a window with everything you selected, and that'll give you an idea of what the item's worth. So for this one, and just to show you that like how it works, so it actually, every modifier that it had that I selected, it made the search for you. It made this really, really easy. It makes the search for you. It even selects if it's corrupted or not. I want to find an option to like have either show up, because I don't really care on a lot of the gear that if it's corrupted or not. So I'll change that, but I'll try to look in the settings to see if that's an option. But either way, so there's 2 rings here that have similar stats. So then what you do is you compare what you have. So mine was 8 fizz, and what you could even do is you can pull this up, pull this over here. Then now you can compare the two. So these are your current values here, and then these are the ones that you're looking against. So it's like for fizz, mine's 9, his is 9, so it's pretty similar. Same base. You've got the same chaos res, just about. Mana regen really doesn't care. More ali res on this one. Well, combined, I guess they're very similar actually. But my ring has. I don't know if chaos damage is a suffix or a prefix. Pretty sure it's a suffix. Oops. And that's another part of this tool as well, by the way. If you're doing like crafting, or if you need to know like what tier gear you have, or what kind of suffixes and prefixes are open, you can just hit Control C on whatever gear you're looking at, and it'll input the values and then show you what tiers they are. So for this one, because I don't know what the essence mod craft is, whether it's a suffix or a prefix, then what I would do is I would come over here. Because it has two suffixes, if I can put a suffix on it, then it's a suffix. So yeah, so this may not have a suffix mod. So now that I know is chaos damage is a suffix. So this has an open prefix. So this can have either life or energy shield added onto it, which makes it pretty valuable. Nothing crazy, but well, I'll probably end up crafting something on it. But yeah. So ours is very, very similar to this. He only has one two open prefixes or suffixes. It's been up for a week. And then this one's 5x. And I don't really know why. I feel like this item is extremely overpriced. Or this one's underpriced. This was a kind of an interesting one. What I would do now is I would also add the modifier that you want to look for. Well, actually, let's check this out first. Do an offline search. Just check this box here, or click on the box and unchecks it, or turns it off rather. So now, okay, so this actually seems, this is kind of like a lifesaver here. If I were to price this for 35 chaos or 40 chaos, then it would get snatched up. Most likely this is price fixing. Because if you see here that if it has energy shield crafted onto it, it's 4 exalts. If it has life crafted on it, it's 5 exalts. Now, that's not saying that these items are worth that much. Obviously, they've been up there for a week or two. But what it is saying is that this is most likely fake. And this is probably more of what it's around as far as pricing goes. So then what I would do, because these have been up here for a while, it's a somewhat of a guessing game, but I would craft energy shield onto it. And then just toss it up there for 3x. And I have a stash tab that has priced gear and unpriced gear. So 3x, boom, it's priced. Now, this can be up for a week and never sell. But what I like to do is, every single day, I lower the prices of every piece of gear. Because once you get the baseline, you start lowering it until it sells. Because you don't want to sit on gear, like, right? Like, I feel like I have too much gear here. Like, I just need to start lowering prices. Although yesterday while I was doing breaches, I had a bunch of sales. Like, this should have been sold and stuff like that. But, you know, either way. So yeah, let's do a jewel. Well, no, we'll do another ring so you guys get an idea. We'll do one that doesn't have chaos res on it, because that one kind of, I did a lot of crafting. There we go. All right, so this one's pretty decent. Again, Control Alt D. And then what you want to do here, look for the modifiers that you're interested in. Again, for elemental resistances, I wouldn't ever check them independently, because it really only matters on the total LE res for the most part. Now, when people start looking specifically for pieces of gear, your result is still going to come up whether they look for total res or whether they look for the resistance they need. So I feel like, this is a personal probably opinion, but I feel like using total res on everything, it makes it easier, and it should result in a good estimate of the price. So you skip these resistances. Obviously, fizz is something we want to look at. Now this is a good example of what not to include. Accuracy rating of 26. Don't check that. Most likely what that's going to do is that's going to get you a really odd search result. You're not going to, either you won't find anything because this has so many modifiers already. It'll like clog up your search essentially, and you just won't find what you need. So don't do that. Just if it's a high value, then yes. I'd say like anything like 300 plus accuracy probably is what you want to look for. 250 maybe, take a look to see what's out there, and then if you don't find anything, just remove it. Like anything under 250 is pretty much worth nothing, so you don't really want to bother with that. So skip that. Now this one's the interesting one, because this one's a pretty nice life roll and a pretty nice energy shield roll, and it's got a lot of res. So we'll get this one out of the way. So check total res. Boom, 103 total res. We've got good fizz, and we've got life or ES or hybrid. But well, no, not many people go hybrid. So what I would do is I would go for the first one, search for life, and then see how much the life version goes for, and then then also check to see how much the energy shield goes for. And price it for whichever one is higher. So we'll check life first. Just makes it real easy to, the only thing you have to learn from this is literally just what modifiers to search for. And it's pretty simple. Once you get into it, you'll know. Like for instance, like this ring right here, this 2-stone ring that's been up for 3 weeks. The reason why his won't sell most likely is because he probably searched for lightning damage, and he's like, oh, this is cool, you know, lightning damage. But like 6% lightning damage, I don't know. Like I wouldn't value that very high. It's fully affixed, so there's no like prefix or suffix you can craft onto it. Odds are, I don't know if he's like lowering the item. I mean, if you lower the price of an item, it still shows the full duration that it's been up. So he could be lowering this as he goes on. But when you look at this ring here, if you compare the stats here, this has more life, a little bit less res, and then the same average damage, and it's 40 chaos cheaper. Why would I buy this? Oh, and it has an open prefix as well. You can craft like cast damage onto here or something like that. This ring is just leaps and bounds better than this ring. So the reason why this isn't selling most likely is because nobody gives a shit about this lightning damage, and this guy is most likely valuing that too high. Then we look down here. This one has a pretty nice amount of res over the one that we have. And again, if you kind of forgot what you were searching for, you can just do this and then kind of like pull this up over here. I'll tab over to the one you're looking at, so now you have a good comparison. So this one ring for an Exalt, it's got 115 res compared to our 103, so it's better in the res. 64 life, 62 life, that's pretty similar. And then the added fizz is also pretty similar. So I would say that our ring, this one kind of throws everything all off. So I think that I see kind of what's going on. Like these guys are pricing their rings at a very high value, and most likely they're pricing it off of each other. And this guy might be more in the ballpark, maybe, because his ring's just better in every way than most of these, just because of the open prefix and the ability to craft like add cast damage. It may not add a lot of damage, but it gives you versatility. But then also, like I said, we can do, so you can come back over here since we already have this open. Added fizz, total res, add energy shield this time. Oh, and of course, obviously, don't put the light radius. This is a hybrid roll, by the way. Accuracy to lighten, accuracy and light radius, and you can check that by looking at the POEDB. If you don't know the modifiers, the affixes or the prefixes and suffixes of gear, then you just go to the accessories. You go to rings, and what this will do is this will kind of give you all the prefixes and suffixes of that piece of gear that you're looking at. And I can put this down in the description as well. And then you kind of look, the light radius is a suffix. Okay, so right here. Oops. So you click on it, and you can see all the rolls. But yeah, I mean, none of these rolls are going to be worth anything. So if you have the hybrid increased light radius and accuracy, I would just ignore it. Never put it on there, either one. But anyways, let's open up the search for the energy shield version of our ring. Okay. So apparently not much. So for suffixes, I mean, this is 104% LE res, and he can still add another suffix for more res. So this is really like 130, 140 energy shield. It would be like 134 energy shield at its max, or sorry, total res. Which again, another one of it's one of those things where it's just like 4 days ago, 2 weeks ago, they've been up there for quite a while. This one's kind of, I don't know, not as good. But then you start looking into like the higher ones, and like again, I don't know, for this ring, because it's such an interesting ring, with it being the versatility of being energy shield or life, I would probably price it like 75 chaos. And then of course you just lower it every day. Typically, if it's a high ticket item, I typically lower like 5 to 10 chaos per day. For like a 75 chaos ring, I would do 5 chaos per day. And I wouldn't go below a certain value, probably like 30, 40 C. And then I'll just kind of leave it up there and just see what happens. But yeah, for this one, 75 C. And then, you know, see what kind of interest we get. It could be worth more. But, I mean, it's very similar to these other rings here. Like this one here, for an Exalt. This one here. Like the amount of total res, the energy shield, and the fizz. I feel like if they were around this price, these two prices, I feel like the person would have sold it already. So I don't know. I just don't feel like these are. I feel like these are like kind of like priced low on purpose to get the results low. Either that or they're never there. They could be those guys that just never accept their trades and they just kind of have shit and they can't be bothered to do a trade or whatever. It could be any of those reasons. All right, let's carry on pricing some more gear so you guys get a good idea. I'll save that for later. It's probably worth nothing, but it's a really nice roll. It's like 3 off of perfect attack, so I was kind of curious to see if it was worth anything. That'll be one of those more complex searches that'll be a little difficult because it's a unique modifier. Adding that much attacks while unarmed. I don't know if poe.trade has that modifier. So yeah, we'll price that one later. All right, so we've priced 2 rings. Let's do a jewel. Jewels are really easy. It's as simple as Control D on the jewel and just select whatever's there, as long as it's relevant. For this one, attack speed, that's good. Global crit, that's good. Projectile damage, that's good. So this will be for a bow build. Select all 3, get an idea what's up there. Okay, so anywhere between 10, 12, and 25. Now, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, these things are pretty much useless. They're too high, nobody's going to buy them. 2 days and 5 minutes ago. These seem pretty accurate. If anything, this one's actually pretty good for 10 chaos because I don't know if they were doing a burning arrow, a crit burning arrow build. That would be pretty good, or explosive arrow, whatever. Yeah, pretty good there. So I don't know. I'd put this one at 10C and not really have to compete too much with that. It's either have it up for 10C or have it up for 15 or 20, and most likely they're going to go with the 4 mod one. All right, so the next thing you want to look for, this jewel. I don't actually know why I have this jewel in here. I don't really feel like it's going to be worth anything, but we'll check it out. So what I would do for this one, it's Fizz, Chaos, and Fire and Cold. The Chaos Res is probably not worth much, so I think at that point it would just be Fizz. I really don't know if Chaos Res would be valued. I don't know. I guess we can search for both. So search this route. It's like 2 alterations. I didn't think this would be worth anything. Maybe because I thought the Chaos Res was interesting. So if we did like Fizz, Chaos, and then Total Elemental Res and searched, this one might be more valuable. But I don't know how. Yeah, 2 Chaos. All right, so this one just is pretty much one of those jewels. You just come over here, you vol it, and it got better. Actually, it got way better. Okay, so now we have another jewel to price. So now we go physical damage, cast damage, and projectile damage. Pretty good, actually. It should be quite valuable. I'm guessing 15 to 20 chaos. Or 30 chaos. Okay. Oh, this is another one of those examples when I was talking about earlier, where because it's corrupted, it's only looking at corrupted jewels. And it doesn't make sense to me because I don't care if it's corrupted or not. If it's a 4-property jewel, it's a 4-property jewel. Like, you can't add anything to it. You can't exalt it. So it's one of those things where you just gotta, I don't know, find the option. If there is an option to disable checking for corrupted or not, I would disable it. But if not, then, well, you know. Okay. 3 chaos. Most likely that's fake. Again, it's one of those things where you just have to know. Like, if it's too cheap, it's probably too good to be true. Either that or the guy's an idiot. What you could do is you could whisper the person and try to buy it. Because if it's 3 chaos compared to, like, these other guys, it may be worth just buying that. Like, you know, why not? Maybe I'll buy it after this video. But yeah, I mean, okay, so you get a good example here. This is a 3-property jewel. The strength in it, probably not worth a hell of a ton, but it could be helpful. And then this one, the projectile freeze, or the chance to freeze, whatnot, that's useless. So essentially, we're looking at like a 30 chaos jewel. So I would put this at 30 chaos. So we turned a 2 chaos jewel into a 30 chaos jewel. And it could have turned into of chill corruption or that other one. So 30 cast there. And alright, so I have a wand here. I'm sorry, it's a dagger. It looked like a wand. The sockets covered it up. Alright, so we'll look at a dagger. So again, Control Alt D. It's gonna be your friend, remember that? Control Alt D. So this one, we're going to be looking at the total crit that it has, and because it doesn't have crit on it, it's just 50% crit. So what I would do is I would use the just use the increased global crit by 50%. Spell damage, that's nice, Added fire to damage, that's good, or added fire to spells, that's good. And attack speed's good because when you're using like shield charge and whirling blades, or maybe not whirling blades, I know for sure for shield charge, it only matters about the percentage of attack speed on the weapon. The base apparently means nothing. It's just the percentage, the localized attack speed. So the more you know. And then of course, plus the mana, useless. Life gain on hit, useless. Don't check either one of those. And then everything like that, it really wouldn't be a big deal. The only way that these would matter is if the weapon also had plus the cold damage. So then what you could do is say this weapon had 30 cold damage on it as well as the 55 cold spell damage. That would be about 80 to cold damage. So then you would click on this one and you would add the 30, or it might actually calculate it if it had it. So then you'd be able to add the 30. So again, everything's good here. Everything's set. Open on poe.trade. The only reason I think this one might be worth something is because of the amount of fire damage added to spells. It's quite a bit. It's good average damage, like 60 average damage. It's pretty high. And as you can see, nothing exists. Most likely it's because of this, so I'll lower it by another 8. Kind of get an idea. Nothing. Another thing you can do is check offline, see if anybody had a similar dagger. Okay, so some guys a month ago, a week ago, and 3 weeks ago, and they're all varied in price. This is an interesting one. So this one's better, but it's been offline. It's offline right now. So 40 chaos. This has increased crit added onto it. Mine has more spell damage. So at this point, the difference between our dagger and their dagger is pretty minuscule. And he's had it for a week and it hasn't sold for 40. This one's for 3x. This one is because of it's like a T2 spell damage roll. So yeah, it's pretty nice. So ours is probably around this price. I would probably put it up for 40 chaos and see what happens. Again, don't underprice your items because you can always lower it the next day. See what happens at 40 chaos. If you get spam whispered for it, you might have listed it too low. Stuff like that. Do another jewel here. This one has increased damage, attack speed with sword, crit multi with crit multi with two-handed weapon, and just global crit multi. So pretty juicy jewel. All those are relevant, so I would just check them all. And this might be a hard price to jewel to price because it has 4 modifiers that are pretty niche. Not many people go crit swords, especially two-handed. So, you know, that could be difficult to price, but we'll check. We'll check anyways. Okay, nothing. So again, we'll check offline. Before we lower any of the values, we'll check offline. I'm guessing nothing. Yeah, like I said, it's a niche jewel. So you could even like go through and delete all the minimum rolls just to get the bottom rolls of that jewel to see if anybody has it online, any jewel like this, or offline. So at this point, we have a jewel that we don't know how to price at all. There's no other jewels like it that have those exact ones. So what you could do is you could remove it from the two-handed category. So it would just be increased damage, attack speed with swords, and then crit multi. That's a 3-property jewel, could sell. So then you would just remove this and then check again what kind of prices we're looking at. Okay, so these are all like multiple weeks ago, so you just go online. And most of the time, you know, I would never really check offline unless you're a little bit confused on the wow, for 15 chaos, it's really good. Again, sword jewels, not really that popular. Yeah, so I would never really search offline unless you're just completely you have no other person to check. Or if one's up for like 20 cast, 40 cast, 80, and 100, you're like all over the place. Check offline, see if the most recent ones kind of match the pricing, and see, you know. It's been up for 3 weeks. Okay, so this is actually very similar to ours. But instead of attack speed, we have crit multi on ours, which I think would make it better. I don't know. This is a really good tool for one-handed swords. He's only been up there for a day. At this point, I would probably put it up for, I don't know, another thing you can do before we just guess a price, because that's sometimes you just gotta guess a price. Oh my god. Sword. Oh, it's two-handed. All right, so two-handed crit multiplier. Another thing you can do is you can actually check standard. Now, standard's not by any means a good idea to go to for prices. But my thought process is if it's like a 10 exalt jewel in standard, it's maybe a 1 to 2x jewel in league. So, or if you really care about standard, you just wait for this jewel to land in standard and then you sell for 10x if it sells for that. But yeah, for this one, I would just do 20 chaos. 20 chaos, and then again, if the prices drop over time, then, or you can drop your prices over time and then it'll eventually sell. So throw it out for 20 chaos. We'll price another pair of gloves, or not, we'll price a pair of gloves so you guys get a general idea for gloves. I already have 20 chaos price tag on this. It's kind of a weird pair of gloves. It's like a hybrid glove. Because it gives you some chaos res, and so I crafted life on it because there really wasn't anything else to craft. Really, that was beneficial, I guess. But yeah, so craft life on it. Then it's like a nice hybrid low life maybe, or hybrid. You know, they both need chaos res. So those modifiers, attack speed's valuable, and then on energy shield pieces of gear. I wouldn't like look at this stuff to flatten the percentages. I'd more just concentrate on your total energy shield. And because my my range is only 10% below and 10% above, then this is good for me. Because I think its standard is 20, and like I said, I like 10. This is what I would probably put it at 150, and then like I said, attack speed's very valuable, and then the total res. I'll do total res of this, and I wouldn't look for the life roll necessarily, and kind of see what comes up. Ours. Okay, so I guess ours would be, pretty well priced at that point. So 20 casts, I can move these to the price tab. This one's a guess, honestly. I mean, like I said, there's not many people that have this weird-ass roll, and I didn't include the life search in ours. It has it on there, but I didn't include it. The only thing I looked for was attack speed, total res, and 150 ES on gloves. There's not really, there's not a lot here. Even if this was double res and attack speed, then it would still be the same price. So, like I said, niche gloves, 20 chaos, whatever. We'll check an armor piece for you guys. An ES armor piece. It's a shit one, but it gives you an idea of. Well, this is something that I found on the ground. Put 10 transmutation orbs into it, and it turns into 10 chaos or so. So, worth picking up, worth selling. And the cool thing about this tool as well is see how it's not quality and it's 642. When you open up the tool knows what the quality is, just adding 20%. And then now it's a 727 ES chest piece with a little bit of res. So that's all I would look for. 727 ES and 34 total res. And then open up. And, about 4 to 10 chaos. Either way, it's probably going to sell for more than it's definitely going to sell for more than I put into it. It's a small sale, but it's one of those things where you can vendor it for some alteration shards, or you can put 10 strands into it and get some chaos. Let's see, what else can we search for? Do like a shield. This is a pretty boss shield. Got real high spell damage, spell crit. It sucks that that reflects on there, but you can't win it all, right? But either way, this is for somebody that doesn't really give a shit about energy shield. They just care about the damages. It's got so much spell damage on it and so much spell crit. That makes it very valuable. Not too valuable, but enough. So you look for the modifiers that are good. And obviously, looking at it, this is high spell damage, high spell crit, total res. Nothing else is really that good. Energy shield was super low, but you know what? You want to look for something. So we're looking at it, and it's like, this is one of those things where it's weird. Is my shield severely underpriced? But it hasn't sold in 2 weeks, so it can't be, right? Because their shield is 2.5x. Mine's 55C. So either this is going to sell for 55C, and it's super underpriced, but it's a super niche shield because it's so low ES. And I'm undervaluing it because it's super low ES, or these guys are overshooting because it's not like you can even exalt energy shield on either one of these, or this one. This one's 30x, but it's much higher energy shield, so this one's more realistic. Probably not 30x, but it is nice. So yeah, that's kind of the idea here. Just being able to price your gear with the macro, it's super easy. The more you use it, the more you'll learn of what modifiers to look for. The only thing else I could really think that would be like, oh yeah, we'll do a legendary, okay? So, Control D, same thing. For like a weapon, I would really only look for like the DPS on it, because that'll kind of take care of the attack speed and the fizz damage. And that's pretty much it on this specific one. So I'll open it up. We'll see that I'm the only one. It's 1% from perfect. I mean, what do you expect? This should have sold yesterday. It's not a super popular axe, but I still feel like it's really good. But, you know, there's actually a little cool thing that somebody had done. They had done Curse on Hit with the Bone Nova. Never really thought about doing that, but that's pretty cool. Curse on Hit, every time you do a Bone Nova, it does an AoE Nova and curses everything that it gets hit by it. Pretty nice little use for it. Nice little Earthquake axe or something like that. So that pretty much takes care of that. And then we'll look up these weird-ass gloves. I don't know. I mean, Control-D will show that, okay, yeah, so like there's no modifiers found on poe.trade that match these. So this is going to be rough, the price. Because they're shit gloves, right? Like they're elk, right? They're nothing. And I guess you could probably search for like, I don't know, 897. So like 888 is still an elk, and I feel like most likely it's probably going to be an elk. So you could probably like do Control F. That's not what I wanted to do. Control F. Probably do like Control F for try to find a pair of perfect ones, which doesn't exist. 899, 898. Okay, there's a pair of 896, which ours is 897 for 1 chaos. So what you do with these is you grab them, and actually, you know what you do? You know what? You have some fun. You vol it first, and then nothing happened. So then you vendor it because, you know, they're shit. So yeah, stuff like that. Oh, we can do one with enchants. Enchants from like Uberlab and Merklab. So same thing, Control-LD. What you can do, it's going to search for Devoto's Devotion, because anytime it is a unique, it will search for that name automatically. You don't have to check a box for that. So the only thing you'd really have to do for this Devoto's Devotion is just search for the helmet enchant, really. So 40% ice shot damage. All of them are in there, to my knowledge. Every single lab enchant. So you can search for that, and then just hit open trade. You don't really have to do anything else. If it's a really well rolled Devotos, then you can do that. But otherwise, don't bother with it. So ours, I priced mine like a week ago, and these didn't exist a week ago, at least not online when I price checked it. So for this one, I mean, it's probably, I think I want to say I paid like 40 chaos for it. So I'll probably drop this down. I mean, looking at the different choices that they have there, this is like a decently rolled one, I guess. And if you don't know what it can roll, hover over it, hit Control-C, so we can see that mine's mid-rolled dex. It's got okay armor evasion, which doesn't matter, then okay chaos res. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is probably overpriced. We'll go down to 70. And then what I do, this is up to you. I'll either match the highest price, or like if I feel like this is too low, I feel like 35C is too low. So I'll match like the highest price closest to what I feel is realistic. And then I'll either match it or go a little bit higher, because I'm going to bank that this guy's AFK. Most of the time, it's actually pretty accurate. Okay, we'll also price match these, because this is a good example of searching for an item base that the modifier is interesting on. So if you hit Control-D on it, you'll see that this increased to melee damage 20%. If you search this, I don't think it'll come up with any pairs of gloves. I think it'll just say that nothing exists. Right, so this is the one where you're kind of like, well, what do you mean? Like, this is on the gloves. Like, why isn't this coming up? Well, because this is where including the item base takes place. Include item base, you hit search, and now, boom, they're all there. So that takes care of the increased, the increased melee damage. So now, Control-D, and then we will do include item base. This has, it has strength on it, but it's not really worth anything. It does have nice life. And it does have some res. Oops. It does have some res. And then it also has a nice accuracy roll. This is one of the things where, like, 340 accuracy, that's a lot of accuracy. The biggest problem with these pairs of gloves, which is I feel like they're not selling, is because they have accuracy on a pair of armor-based gloves. And most of the time people go Resolute Technique, so they don't need the accuracy. These are niche gloves, but, you know, I'll price it as a niche item. So, so I have, mine are 15 chaos. This guy's up 3 days ago. Ours are very, very similar. The only thing that's different is the strength difference. He has pretty nice accuracy too. He's rolled well. If I really cared, I can try to divine mine up higher, but I don't. But the odds are this hasn't sold in fucking 2 weeks. His aren't going to sell for an X and a half. No way. And his aren't going to sell for 2X either. 4 weeks. Neither one of these is going to sell. Mine will sell way before these sell because you're looking at this and they're like, okay, unless they specifically need lightning res, but I don't think they would pay that much more for lightning res. But, you know, I have more life, even more life, including the strength, including his strength roll because this is crafted. Total res, very similar. Accuracy, they're in the same tier, so very similar. Are you really going to pay 150 chaos for a little bit more accuracy and a little bit more strength? Well, a lot more strength, but yeah, it's just not going to sell. So these have been out there for 2 weeks at 15 chaos. They'll sell, but it's going to be a while. It's a niche item. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll post all the links for any of the tools that I use on a daily basis. This is pretty much like my daily tab that I have up. I'll have the wiki up just in case I forget about something or if I need to look up something, where Jewel sells, whatever. PWDB, this is the very, very good tool for crafting and is also a good tool for just checking to see whether something's a prefix or a suffix. If you don't know, but you can use the poe.trade macro as well. Sometimes the poe.trade macro is not correct. It doesn't know essences very well, and it will tell you that even with, like, say you use an essence of woe, a deafening essence of woe on a chest, it's not tier 1. But if you use the trade macro, it'll think it's tier 1, and it'll throw you off completely. Because the essence, the deafening essence, still can't roll higher than T1, and it's kind of sketch. It's kind of shit. But this will tell you that if you go to, you know, your item, whatever you're looking for, and it'll tell you these are the most up to date to my knowledge. And if you guys know anything better, then let me know. Also, this kind of gives you another cool little area here. Kind of gives you the odds of certain vol things that'll happen if you try to vol like a pair of gloves or whatever, or whatever we're on a ring. Yeah, this will happen on a ring, or if you go to gloves, you can see like what's the percentage chance that I will get whatever on this item. So I'll go strength gloves. If I wanted to vol these to remove, you would remove the implicit, the melee strength or melee damage, I mean, but you could get a chance to get like you know, vulnerability on hit, which is pretty nuts, but it's at a 1% chance. Like the odds are pretty low, so not really worth it, but something to think about if you like just kind of want to have fun and just vol the things to kind of get some cool stuff. Obviously you probably want to socket it, maybe, depending on, I don't know if you have a Reach 8 or not. But anyways, I hope you guys liked it, the video. Let me know if I could do anything more to, you know, explain trading in a better way, maybe. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below, or stop by the stream. I do stream at twitch.tv/PaleoGamer, and I'll see you guys next time.